Hello, gorgeous Virgo family, and welcome to September 2019, your season. Happy birthday to all the Virgos, whether in August or September. What a powerful time of year Virgo season is. As many of you know, I have a Virgo moon, so this is always kind of a big part of my reality. And September is a very powerful alchemical month. Yes, not only are we working for most of that month with your energy, which helps us to show up to life at a deeper, more profound level than any of the other signs in so many ways. To give of ourselves, to connect the dots, to dive in even more deeply than ever on things that really matter to us. All of that energy is gifted to us with Virgo energy. We also move from Virgo into Libra with the equinox. And that equinox is a beautiful balancing point. It's an alchemical process of finding harmony. And when I checked in with Virgo energy, I was kind of blown away because a really strong message came through, and that doesn't always happen. But it definitely did for Virgos this month, and it tied into your symbolism of that maiden, right? And that goes a lot deeper than I think sometimes the pop astrology, with this whole idea of the virgin and what have you. It's tied to allegories that have to do with the earth, with harvest time, with bounty, with being attached to the earth, and also being a celestial ancient being, and there being a dualism between those two states. And Virgo, I think you guys you work with that energy a lot. You work with a dualism between being energetically, you can be a workhorse. You can plow those fields and harvest and be really invested in the detail, in the living of the life, in the physical. And you also have this really big depth that takes you to the unseen, to the mystical. Your symbolism is very deeply tied to Persephone, very tied to your constellation even is tied to a goddess who was one of the last entities of the gods to leave the physical earth to become a constellation when earth was no longer a place for divine energy, in the mythology, both Roman and Greek. And when you think about those symbols, right, one floats up and becomes a constellation. Persephone goes into the underworld and hangs out with Hades for half of the year. And you can see how there's a dualism there. And the more I thought about the symbolism and the depth of that symbolism, it's not just some cute, light, airy, fairy symbol that you guys work with and that your energetic phases work with. This is very deep, primal, powerful, mystic energy. And one of the things I was thinking about with Virgos is that you guys do have both of those sides. You have this very deep mystic ability to understand things at a very deep level that has nothing to do with the day-to-day, that has nothing to do with routine and details and showing up constantly. But you also have a side of yourself that needs the grounding, that needs the nurturing. And I think sometimes you think that you have to choose between the two. Let's get started shuffling, and I will start telling you also about the transits going on. But this is what I will say for you all this month before we see what the cards are. Let's see what came out first. King of Swords. Some clarity. You don't have to choose between these two states. In fact, what I want you to focus on during your season, and as you're opening up this new energetic phase, Page of Pentacles. I love it so far, you guys. You don't have to choose. You want to honor both of these sides of yourself because they're both there. You have the ability to be sporadic, wild, trusting, relaxed, open to the mystical forces, and you have the ability to show up and do the details. And I think often you get confused about which one of those is better. Which one? Ooh, Four of Wands. Hello. Hello, Virgo. Something's going on here with some clarity of insight. And I think the more that you trust into the fact that you have both of these sides, the easier things come to you. You don't have to fight against yourself as much as I think sometimes you do. You know, you want to do things well, whether it be mystic or in the real world, whether it be the harvest time or floating up into the stars. You want to do it well, Moon. And you don't have to choose. So the less you fight yourself, the less you fight your natural abilities to move through this energy, the better. Three of Wands. Okay, I'm loving these energies. You have a lot of positive energy moving through your signs, obviously. You have a Virgo new moon on August 30th. So before we even get into September, you've got that restart energy moving through and opening up the next month with a lot of potential. It's a great time for you guys to set those intentions. What do you want to commit to? What do you want to open your heart to? Six of Wands. What do you want to build and construct with an open heart? You also have that full moon in Pisces on the 14th, you know, that relational moon. So it wakes up, you know, where you're wanting to adjust in relationships, where you're wanting to open up more, where maybe you want to be more vulnerable, or maybe you want to be more open. Oh, the Hermit. Hi. Hi, Virgo. You know, where you can see that maybe you hold yourself back or you're afraid to dive, or maybe where you want to create a boundary. That moon is going to highlight that, because also Venus and Mercury leaves your sign and goes into Libra during that moon. And that conjunction really activates our need to express what we need, where we need affection. Saturn's also going direct in your fellow earth sign of Capricorn on the 18th, and then we move with the sun into Libra and a new moon in Libra at the end of the month. And as we move into the Libran energy, you know, I always think about it, it's like you have your birthday energy, your rising sign energy, however, you know, or your moon energy, and it's very personal, you know, personal development time, really checking in. When we start moving into your second house, into the next sign, now you can kind of take all those intentions, all the things that clicked in for you during the energy that was in your sign, and start to build, right? You can start to create. And 10 of Wands, release, right? Let go of the rope and let the rest fall in. And I just dropped the moon card on the floor. Okay. But I'm loving this energy for you all. And I mean, what I'm noticing is actually ease, right? There's an ease going on here. And what was I just saying about honoring both your mystic, hidden side and your very vibrant, go-getter, hilarious, externalized self, and letting those two have a dialogue, and that allowing you to actually have a lot more fun and a lot more ease in your creative process, in your lifestyles, and in welcoming in abundance. You know, we're not talking about abundance of just like having tons of money and sitting around, but like really the kernels, the high quality things you want to experience. Deep connection, you know, a really good book, you know, like these are the things that actually make life meaningful. Okay, so you have some news coming in right away. King of Swords and Page of Pentacles are clarifiers if I've ever seen them, right? These energies bring through a precision of vision, right? Both of them are very precise and very clear. And of course, you know, you could have people that reflect these energies in your life. You know, maybe you have a really rational, balanced person that you're in relationship with or that you're talking to. Maybe you have, you know, a playful earth sign in your life. Maybe you're the Page of Pentacles. But I think what we want to really focus on here is these energies, these entities, bring a clarity of vision about where you want to take your energy, where you want to break yourself open, where you want to be utterly present to what is coming in next. You know, where you want to have that sense of total openness. You know what you want to say yes to. You know what you want to speak into existence. You know, and these energies, there's always that battle inside of ourselves. Do we talk up what we really want in life, whether to ourselves or to our friends, or do we want to be a little bit paranoid and keep it to ourselves so we don't jinx it? And I think there's a really fine balancing point there. Speaking of equinox and equalizing that light and checking in with our journey with the sun, which September has so much energy of, there's a sweet spot in the middle there where, you know, You speak when it feels really true and when it feels really clear and really crisp. And that will always feel good. It won't feel like overdeveloped, overspoken, right? But this is clarity. So something's coming in that's very clear. Now, I want to tell you right now, you guys, that some of you are having some kind of big emotional commitment coming up this month. Four of Wands is a celebration. It's something to be celebrated. Four in Tarot is so much about rounding out, coming to a whole sense of completion, and not in the sense of like the end of a long cycle where you're at the end of it, but kind of this sense of something's built and culminated and been created. And Four of Wands is particularly celebratory and happy. It's very tied to happy relationships, happy bonds, happy saying yes to something, right? It's a card of commitment and joy and celebration, and it's very tied to this moon energy, which is, your hidden emotional landscape. It's where you connect in with that part of yourself that isn't on the front stage, right? So this tells me that whatever this celebration is, whatever this connection is something that speaks to a very deep part of your heart and soul. This isn't just something that's like cute. It taps into a part of you that's scary to tap into, because it means that you have to expose that part of yourself, right? And that's where the really good stuff in life is. But you may be finding that you are really committing and stepping into a version of yourself that you maybe don't feel ready for yet. Maybe you think, oh, in a couple of months I'll be ready for that. But today, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I can confidently say that I'm ready. And yet, we're never really ready. What is that ready? We can always push that down the line. And this month is showing me, these first four cards alone, it's like, you got to just go in there and do it. You are enough. You are ready. You are going to feel vulnerable. You are going to feel pushed open. And that is where the really great growth is going to be happening. So it's going to be crystal clear what this is that you're stepping into. But don't let that confuse it with feeling totally comfortable. You'll have the knowing, you'll have that sense of divine energy moving through you and giving you the next step and the next step and the next step. But your conscious mind may be like, oh my gosh, I do not feel ready. This is freaking me out, right? But here's the thing, there's this forward motion with you guys. Really strong forward motion where there is something pulling you forward, pushing you forward even, that's moving through you. I mean, when I say that, I really mean that. Three of Wands and Six of Wands. I just got chills. I really just got chills. Because these are cards of directional focus, right? This is not the fog. I talk about the fog a lot and uncertainty and how that's when we're closest to the divine. And I do still believe that that's really true. Our times of contrast, our times of confusion, our times of uncertainty bring us very close to divine and help us to listen in. But that's only one part of the process. The next part of the process is this. It's the action. It's the phone calls coming in. It's the movement happening, the bold steps being taken. And these are very bold energies. Wands energy is all about action in the world. And specifically these cards, these aren't just about sitting back. These are like when you take a big leap of faith, but it's going to work out. It's in your favor. It's with you all the way in your corner, right? So taking those bold, definitive actions, saying yes to something, like this is about big stuff, like moving, committing to a relationship, committing to a new project, sharing some kind of creative thing that maybe you've been keeping inside. That moon is here in the midst of all of this Wands energy, which tells me that whatever it is that you are opening up is something that feels really tender. You could really get yourself scared. This kind of energy, when you push forward like this, will wake up anything that wants to protect you, right? So keep that in mind as well. But however, I don't really see a lot of that. There's not a lot of you being in your head this month, you guys, which I love, because there's something about you just being in the action of it that's really beautiful. Now, here's the thing. There's so much forward growth here. I mean, basically all of these cards, other than the moon, which is checking in with that deep, mystical, emotional side of yourselves, and checking in with your shadow side and checking in with your inner guidance system. Most of these cards are about really intensive expansion forward into your path. And we have to balance that out with reflection, rest, and quiet time. We can't just expand, or we would just lose our minds in that. And so the Hermit and the Ten of Wands are here. And it kind of almost feels like once we hit into the equinox and we get into Libra season, that you take a moment, right? And like I said at the beginning with the note that you have, which is that you don't have to choose between your mystic, hidden, secretive side that is so brilliant and deep, and that part of yourself that is an action taker and is a giver. They're both legitimate energies. Your card is here, the Hermit, right? The deep seeker, the wise energy. And this is quiet. This is about going back, checking in with your internal process. The Hermit is not about being performative, being out there the way all that Wands energy was. But this is also telling me that you've said yes to a lot of stuff this month, right? Which means something else is going away. Ten of Wands is a release energy. Okay, you can hold it. You can keep going. You can keep pushing through. You can keep moving. You can keep holding whatever that is, whether it's a job title or a friendship or a routine, a lifestyle habit that you know it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit anymore. And, you know, those things really become crystal clear when we have welcomed in a whole bunch of new energy and we are moving into the next phase of our lives. It's like when something from the past energetic cycle is still there, it really stands out. It's like, you don't work the way that you used to work. It could even be something that's not inherently bad, right? It can be something that is totally fine on paper, but like doesn't fit in your life anymore. And so with all of that expansive growth, checking in with this is really important because there is something going away. I'm going to pull a final card from my Cosmic Tarot deck because I really love the illustrations. They're quite visceral, and we've had some interesting pulls this month for some people, but it's a really great way to connect in with the final message I want to bring to you, because there's something big happening here, my friends. It really... 5 of Cups. Wow. Okay. This deck has been bringing up a lot of like deeper shadow stuff. That's why I've been saying that for a lot of signs. Yeah, it goes hand in hand with this Ten of Wands. These are cards of growth. And I think sometimes when we see these cards, it's like, oh no, like it's going to be really hard. But here's what happens when we expand very quickly and we learn very quickly and we have a lot of growth. There is grieving in that, because what was home, and that doesn't have to be a literal home, but it can be, what was home, what was comfortable, what was nurturing has changed. What was working has changed, and sometimes it can be disorienting, it can be overwhelming, it can be scary, because who are you now that those things aren't the things that make you feel at home, comfortable, soothed, what have you. You know, 5 in tarot is another important number because it's a number of discomfort. You know, 5 is kind of this tense number, right? Because you can't split it up evenly, and it's got this edge to it. And that's because when we hit into that 5 energy, it's really that tipping point between one life and another before we find our new balance. And it's okay to have some grief and to have a ton of opening, right? Like I said, that balance, that harmony. I have some equinox affirmations for you guys to take with you as your birthday season wraps up and as we move into the next phase of energy for September and, you know, just for the month in general. So here we go. I am balanced and open to new experiences. I am allowed to be both expansive and reflective in each day. When I work from a place of playfulness, I get more done and I feel more relaxed. I release resistance to change. This month is a big calibrator for you all, and it is definitely changing the shape of your path moving forward in profound ways that are exciting and exhilarating, and also ask you to show up to that table full of life and hope. It's big stuff, Virgo. I'm really excited for you. You can find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you over there. Please come and join me. I do a lot of check-ins there. I would love to have you with me. You can also find me on my website at SARAHTAROT. I do private readings. I still have my fall calendar on pause until I get some pieces sorted out and some things sorted for the fall months. But if you would like to get on the list so you're notified when those spots open up and you can sign up, please email me and I will get you set up with that. And I will see you guys for more Moon Magics, for more monthly readings, for a lot of fun up ahead on this channel. So please join me, like, subscribe, do what feels right for you. But I hope you will stay around and be with me and join me on this journey. I love you guys so much. You are my family. And I am sending you so many blessings for a beautiful September ahead.